In this video, it will show you step by step on how to disassemble, how to replace and clean the cooling fans and the heatsink, how to change the thermal pads and the thickness of the thermal pads, and how to repaste. What's up everyone? It's Take the Screw Out. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell so that if there's a new video coming out, you'll be notified. And there's a link in the description down below in each videos for the tools and equipment I've used, which is available to purchase in Amazon.com in United States and Amazon.co.uk in United Kingdom if you are interested to get one. Let's begin the tutorial. But first, the screwdriver I'm going to use is the Wow Stick screwdriver, which is an electronic one. And the screw bits that I'm going to use on this video is Phillips screw or VH1. On this video, I will show you three options. The first option is if you just want to replace one of the fans or just want to clean the back part of the fan and clean the dust of the front area of the heatsink, all you're going to do is remove 6 screw. So that's the first option. The second option is if you want to remove the PCB from the heatsink and change the thermal pads and the thermal paste, all you're going to do is remove 10 screw. And the third one is if you just want to remove the back plate detached from the PCB, all you're going to unscrew is 8 screw. Okay, so we're going to do the first option. So if you want to just remove one of the fans and remove this front shroud, so you're going to unscrew 6 screw. So I'll show you the 6 screw. So there are 2 screw here and 2 and 2. That's the only screw that you're going to remove if you just want to remove or replace the fans or clean the inside part of the fans and clean the heatsink. So we're gonna remove this first screw. So the 6 screw is identical, so you can just So after you unscrew the 6 screw, before you lift this front shroud up, you need to detach or remove the connector of the fan. So this GPU is non-LED, so just only one connector. So this is the connector of the fan. So I recommend to use one of this kind of pliers. If you're interested, link in the description down below. And then this kind of connector is just like a very common simple fan connector, 4-pin connector. So you're going to do is to grab this upper part of the connector and then pull it upwards towards me. So grab this one here. That's the good thing about these pliers, is has very special front end, so it can easily grab the fan connector and safely and remove from the okay. So the fan connector has been removed, so you can lift up the front shroud. It's nice and easy. So free fan is exposed, so you can replace now. By the way, to replace the fan, you have to unscrew 3 screw in each fan. So you cannot remove this fan outside. You can only remove this fan if you take off this front shroud. So you can unscrew this 9 screw, 3 screw in each fan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I will not gonna remove this fan now because you can easily see the orientation and the location of the screw anyway. So here's I'll show you the model of the fan. By the way, these 3 fans are not identical. I mean, only these two smaller fans, the outer one, these 2, they are the one identical, but the one in the center is different. They are quite bigger than these 2, so they have a different part number. So the part number of the 2 of each side, the smaller one, is this one. So that's the fan number of the two small ones, which is identical, and this is the one on the middle. This is the center one. So that's the part number, just in case if you need to get a replacement. Okay, so that is the first option. The second option is if you don't need to take this off the fan, if you don't need to take off the fan and the front shroud, if you just want to replace the thermal pads and thermal paste and clean the inner part of the heatsink, all you're going to do is just skip the first option. All you're going to unscrew is just 10 screws. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the only screw that you're going to remove if you want to change the thermal pads and the thermal paste, but you don't need to clean the inside part of the fans. So you don't need to remove the front shroud and the fans. So only to unscrew this 10 screw at the back area. Okay, so by the way, this GPU has still factory sealed on the screw, so that means all the thermal pads and the thermal paste inside is still stuck from the factory. So okay, we're going to unscrew the 10 screw. So by the way, if you're doing like GPU, I recommend to use a magnetic strip like this, so that your screw will stick in there and it's safe. Or you can get one of these. This is a magnetic one. So by the way, if you're working with your GPU, always put this connector cover on, because this one is very delicate. It can easily get damaged. So and now the 10 screw has been removed, so you can separate the, let me check again if there's still a screw in it. Right, you can 4 parts. So you can separate the PCB from the heatsink. So you carefully touch this. That's it. And now you expose you can see now the thermal pads and the thermal paste and the inner part of the GPU. So that's the second option. And the third option, if you just want to remove the backplates from the PCB, all you're going to do is skip the first option and do the second option. That's what we just done recently, and then do the third option after the second option. So because you cannot remove this one from outside, you have to unscrew the screw of the backplate in the inside of the PCB. So we're gonna count how many screws. There are a few screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these two here is not included. So we have to counter check again. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, you have to unscrew 9 screws if you want to remove the backplate. Okay, so you can easily just unscrew this and you can remove the backplate, but I will not gonna do that today, because you can see the screw, the location of the exact screw, which one is to remove. Okay, and there are behind this backplate, there are 3 millimeters, quite thick, so we don't need to replace that. Okay, so that's the third option. So by the way, this graphics card is almost new, so I don't need to replace thermal pads of this particular GPU, because it's still really good, and this is from the factory, still thick and new. So I'll just show you what is the thickness of these thermal pads, and we put a new fresh thermal paste on it. Okay, so that's all the 3 options. Now it's time for to measure the thermal pads. To measure the thermal pads, I'm using a vernier caliper, which is, this one is a digital, which is battery powered, and also if you want this more cheaper, vernier caliper, which is a manual one without a battery. So this one has a battery. It's more easier to, so you can just remove this, open this battery compartment here and put it on the battery. So So this is the battery. So you have to put this one here and put the cover on. So if you're interested to buy one of these, just check in the description down below on this video. So make sure this is on the 0 position, make sure in the 0, and then press this yellow button to reset to 0. So we're good to go. Okay, so this is the thickness of the thermal pads. So this 6 gray pads here, this is from these 6 chips from the VRAM. So this is the VRAM here. So we're just going to do this one pads. I don't need to take off all 6. So you just do this one. So as you can see, look. So it's 1 millimeter. So the VRAM is 1 millimeter. So this one here is 1 millimeter. And for the VRMs and this choke here, this area here and this one here is, it looks like they are similar thickness, but we will see. I'm gonna check first. Oh, it's a bit thicker. So it's 1.5. So the VRAM is 1 millimeter thickness, and this choke here, this one here, the white one, it has a thicker thermal pads, 1.5. So 1 millimeter, 1.5, and these smaller chips here, the VRMs. This one has, it looks like the same with the VRAMs. So VRMs, so exactly the same with the thickness of the VRAMs. So 1 millimeter. So 1 millimeter. So the VRAM and the VRMs, this one here, the VRAM and the VRMs has 1 millimeter thickness. So this and this different color, the green one has 1 millimeter, and this area here, the white one, is a bit thicker, is 1.5 millimeter. Okay, so we're gonna clean the, by the way, to clean the residue of the thermal paste and the thermal pads, I recommend to always use a 99.9% isopropyl alcohol. Never use 70%, always 99.9. So just use any cotton or microfiber cloth to clean them up. So make sure you clean it thoroughly. You can have a good contact with the heatsink. Okay, and then clean the heatsink. The heatsink of this GPU is still very clean, so I can't even see any dust on it. So it's so clean, as you can see. The PCB is so clean. But if you need to clean your heatsink and PCB, you need to use a paintbrush and also an air blower, so that it could blow all the dust here in between the heatsink and also the alcohol that is penetrating inside the chips. And I recommend this kind of tools. This is from Makita. This is the particular brand model. The Makita DAS 180. This is from the 18 volt LXT range, so it's really handy. And sometimes GPU over time it could store, you can see a moisture in the area of the PCB. So if you see or one of your GPU has that, make sure to rub it with isopropyl alcohol. Just use the brush and pour a little bit of alcohol on it and then rub it, and then after you rub it, you blow it with the air blower. Make sure your PCB is totally dry before you put it back together. So now, okay, so I don't need to replace the thermal pads on this one. It's still very good condition. So I have to dry it with the air blower. So as I mentioned earlier, I don't need to remove the backplate because I already showed you the exact location of the 9 screw that you have to unscrew if you really need to remove the backplate and replace the thermal pads that you need. There is a thermal pads, as I mentioned, 3mm thickness, the thermal pads underneath on this backplate. So it's still is really good condition, this one, so I don't need to replace that. So 9 screw that you're going to unscrew on this area of the PCB. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't unscrew these 2 screw here, this and this. You don't need to do that. So only 9 screw. So now it's time to put the thermal paste. So the thermal paste I'm going to use is provided by GELID solution. It's called the GC4. This one is a really high performance thermal paste. So I recommend how to apply the way on how to apply the thermal paste. You need to spread it manually using the spreader. It's way better compared to just put a drop in the middle and then press these two, because that is not guaranteed that it could cover the whole die. But by using a spreader and you spread it yourself to the GPU die, it is guaranteed that you distribute the thermal paste evenly to this area. So that's my recommendation. So don't put too much. So that should be enough for that size of the die. We have to spread the thermal paste. So it's time to put it back together. So all the thermal pads is aligned. So make sure it's aligned properly so that it can have a good contact. So the first thing to do is attach the PCB to the heatsink. Make sure these 4 mounting points, very important. This 4 hole here, this 4 will be perfectly aligned to this mounting hole here. So that's what we're gonna do first. By the way, I forgot this. These thermal pads, small thermal pads here. This one has exactly identical thickness, same thickness of the one underneath the backplate, which is 3mm, or I will show you so that I can prove it to you. This one is, sorry, this one is only 2.5. Yeah, it's 2.5mm. It's 2.5. So this one has a 2.5mm. And there's another one here. There's another one here which is a bit thicker. So I think this is so this one is 2.5 and this one is, it's not thicker, they are identical. So this one, and this one here have the same thickness. So VRAM and the VRMs, this is the VRAM and the VRMs, the green one has 1mm thickness. The white one has 1.5mm, and this 2 square here has 2.5 millimeter, and the back plate, underneath the back plate, has 3 millimeters. Very thick. So okay, so we have to put it back together now. It's more easier for us to put something underneath so that it could lift up a little bit. So you put something underneath on the heatsink so that it could lift up, elevate a little bit. Because of this bracket, it will make it easier for you to attach this PCB. So make sure the 4 mounting points will be aligned properly. Okay, so all you're going to do is to screw in first this 4 screw. So you're going to make sure you screw it in a cross pattern and then screw it gradually. So we're going to screw in first the one with the sealed. So here, and then next is this one here. So crisscross pattern. Okay, so you have to screw it in gradually, 1 turn in each screw. Make sure it's just snug fit. Okay, and then you have to check again, make sure there's no gap. Right, okay, so we've done the 4 screw. Next is to screw in the other 6 screw, the remaining 6 screw. Okay, so don't forget there are 4 different sizes, thickness of the thermal pads on this GPU. First is the VRAM, and the VRMs has a 1mm thickness, so that's the one, and the other choke on the side of the VRMs has 2.5, that's the second, and the small square on the side of the PCB, this very small square that I've showed you, has a 2.5mm, and the behind the backplate has 3mm. But if you want to replace the thermal pads in this GPU, I suggest you don't need to replace the one underneath the backplate, which is 3mm, and those two small 2.5 inside the PCB. The 2.5 and the 3mm, you don't need to replace that, because of their thickness, they will last for very long time. So you don't need to replace that. That's only support for the other parts of the PCB. But the most important that will heat up and can cause you thermal throttle when you play games or use the GPU heavily is the VRAMs and the VRMs. So they are the most 2 important parts of the GPU that you have to replace the thermal pads. So 1mm and 1.5mm. So okay, so we've done the back, so it's time to clean the fans. So the fan has only very small dust in it. So while brushing and clean the back area of the fan, you have to be patient. You have to brush individually the fans so that it can be cleaned properly. So these three fans is linked together in one connector. So if you want to replace this, let's say one of the fan, let's say this fan, you have to disconnect this connector here. You can separate from this connector, or if you want to replace the one on the middle, you can just disconnect here. But they are all linked together in one 4-pin connector to the PCB. So it's quite easy. So don't forget, these two fans here on the side has identical part number, and the one on the middle is different, it's quite bigger, and it has a different part number. So that's your reference, the one that I've showed you earlier. And I will flash the photo as well on the screen so that it could make it easier for you to read the part number. So next, the fan is already clean. Hang on, I will brush, I will blower. So next is to connect the fan connector. So just push the connector in to the connector terminal. So you have to make sure you have to push it in all the way down, and able to make sure it has a good connection. So that's it. So it's all connected. Alright, let me check again. Okay, so that's good. So you have to align the mounting screw holes here, the 6 mounting screw holes here, align to the holes in the heatsink. Okay, it's very handy if your screw bits is magnetic. Okay, so you have to make sure it's tight enough, not too tight, just snug, and make sure the screw is flat. It doesn't protrude to that mount screw hole, otherwise it could catches in the fans. So right, lastly, you have to check everything, make sure all the screw is screwed in and put it in. Make sure to check individually all the screw holes. So, and then check the rotation of the fan, make sure it's clear, it doesn't catches anything. It's all done. So the connector of the fan, make sure it's fully in. So that's the end of the tutorial. If you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing. That is a big help for this channel grow, and I can carry on making more tutorial videos like this one. Share and click the thumbs up icon. Thank you so much for watching.